called The View?
It's called The View. It's not called The Facts.
Yeah, but isn't it interesting that it's called, I mean, I don't think they meant this when Barbara Walters invented it a long time ago, but it's The View.
Well,
that's the problem in America.
But
there is one view,
right, and
one
that's clearly
true opinion, and everybody else can go sit in the corner.
That's correct.
They're disgusting. She's Anna Navarro, in your wildest imagination, you could never solo host a show. You will only ever make it as part of an ensemble, and you could never hope to achieve the success that Tucker Carlson has. So you can sit in your little cheap seats all day long and enjoy your little negative henpecking, but your careers are going nowhere, and Tucker is about to dominate.
I want to talk about Whoopi Goldberg because I got so many texts this week because she attacked me the week before. Sure. So she was, everybody was like, oh, Bill, I get you're enjoying the karma. First of all, I'm going to talk about this at the end of my show next week, teaser. But there is no fucking thing as karma, okay? Get over that. Whoopi attacks me on a regular basis. She says stupid shit on a regular basis. They just happen to coincide. But can I...
That hot mess that they air in the mornings called The View had to issue not one, not two, not three, but 4 corrections, legal corrections, 4 legal notes. Not to mention what they did at that debate, where once again, they tried to fact check only one side, and then when their fact checks got fact checked, they cowered. They cowered in fear. I mean, this is a pattern with them.
Any term you want. Okay. Because maybe that is a word that's triggering, and so let's not use that word. I don't know, want to call it the super far left, but don't tell me the left
or maybe the super far right. Well, he's talking about the left. Well, then
okay, but we talked about that. I mean, I think we agree about the danger of the super far right, and I can't say it enough. I think they're the bigger threat. But don't tell me that the left hasn't changed. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when it was the conservatives who hated the Jews.
Yeah.
Okay. And finally, new rule, stop saying that Whoopi Goldberg getting yanked from The View right after she attacked me on The View is karma. There's no such thing as karma, sorry. Sorry, but life is random. The only word to describe it when a big game hunter gets trampled by an elephant and then eaten by lions is hilarious.
They had a discussion on The View about world superpowers, from the sound of it. That's how they got into it. And Sunny Hostin made some comments about patriotism and America and Black America. It's all in there, Jason. I mean, it's all in there. I'm going to tee it up. It starts with Alyssa Farah, who's supposed to be the Republican commentator. And then you'll hear Sunny jump in. Listen.
If America is not the #1 global power, it's not going to be Denmark. It's going to be communist China, a country that right now the government is imprisoning Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps. It is a deeply racist government. It's a human rights violating government. It is a government that if they are the leader of the free world, we are not a free world the way that we are right now.
The notion of patriotism and the notion of America and the American flag has been co-opted by the right as if they are true patriots. But when I listen to Christopher Wray, the head of the FBI, he said white supremacy is the biggest domestic threat to this country.
Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 47th president of the United States, yay, on January 20th of this month. Not everyone's happy about it, and many people would like us to be more focused on the insurrection that he personally unleashed. If you ask them, as we discussed earlier, they think it's as bad as like the Holocaust, and you don't have to take my word for it. Here is Sunny Hostin of The View.
January 6th was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II, things that happened, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery.
Yeah, the January 6th is right up there next to the Holocaust and slavery.
I want you to note the tone they all talk with him. I want you to look at Sunny Hostin's body language and the way they look at him and everything else. Just because he is a lefty who hasn't gone completely bananas, here they are talking about the word woke.
The term woke has been, in my view, co-opted by the right and weaponized and bastardized. And so I was surprised to hear you use the term because historically, as you know, because I think you're quite brilliant, that woke is a word used by the Black community to note that we must be aware of social injustices.
But words
and so
migrate.
why is that a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing, and originally that was absolutely a great thing. Alert to injustice. Who's not for that? But words do migrate.
Whoopi Goldberg was angry when Alyssa pointed out that Trump went to the funeral of Officer Diller.
Yes.
On Long Island, and Joe Biden went to a podcast. Look at Whoopi Goldberg's reaction.
Choose what you like there, but for Republicans, it was good imagery.
Really?
One day later, yes.
And I'm asking that because I was so offended because you know who showed up.
Yeah.
And he was, whether he was asked or not. This
But he
is a
was
man
invited.
who didn't care what happened to the officers on January 6th.
She promotes Joe Biden and Kamala Harris every day on that show. Trump wasn't supportive enough of the cops who were, yes, in danger on J6th. How does that explain their behavior on a daily basis?
Last week you called white Republican women cockroach.
Actually, I didn't. And
You said they're acting like cockroaches.
I used in a similar. Let me answer that.
Okay.
I used a
so
metaphor.
here's what I'm going to ask you all to do. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to tone it down a bit because I can't hear anything.
Let
No
me
one
respond.
can hear what's being
But she
saying.
just said I called
you
white women
understand why
roaches.
people-
All right, we're going to
because
go
I
to break. We're going to break. I can't take it.
And by the way, out there, that hat that you keep wearing, that red hat that says "Make America Great Again," that tells people that you go along with this. So you might as well just put a swastika on the hat.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Because we see it anyway.
I'm not going to defend Donald Trump ever, but I would never say that we should put the swastika on the cap because I think you can hate Donald Trump. You can't hate everybody who likes him. It's half the country. I don't want to live in that country. I don't want to live in the country where I hate half the country, and I don't hate half the country.
How dare you disagree with me?
Ever witness someone's entire identity collapse in real time? That's exactly what happened when Sunny Hostin of The View walked into a verbal buzzsaw named Bill Maher and Megyn Kelly. 1 minute she was confidently holding court on her daytime throne. The next, she was metaphorically face-planting into her cue cards, while America watched in stunned silence. This wasn't just another TV disagreement, it was a masterclass in exposures that left viewers wondering if Sunny would ever recover from such a public intellectual dismantling. If you've ever watched someone's smug certainty evaporate under the harsh light of facts and logic, you already know where this is heading. But what made this confrontation so devastating wasn't just what was said, it was how completely unprepared Sunny was for someone to challenge her echo chamber. Today, we're breaking down the explosive confrontation that had social media erupting and viewers reaching for the replay button. The View has long been a platform where Sunny Hostin reigns with unchallenged authority. Her standard approach, weaponizing her law degree like a lightsaber from the School of Smug, usually works perfectly in an environment where dissenting voices are quickly drowned out. Her credentials are practically tattooed on her forehead at this point. Former federal prosecutor, legal expert, professional, finger wagger extraordinaire. But something different happened when Bill Marr appeared on the show. Unlike the typical guests who either nod along or get steamrolled, Marr came prepared for intellectual combat. The first sign of trouble appeared when Sunny tried her usual tactic of moral grandstanding, only to find herself facing someone immune to performative outrage. Whether the episode described a separation between the White House and the CIA, which some paid by the Washington Post as one of them, the two had to issue not one, not two, not three, but 4 corrections. Legal corrections, 4 legal notes. Marr would later remark, highlighting a pattern that many viewers had already noticed but few dared mention. The real problem? Sunny's entire approach hinges on one critical factor: never being challenged. She thrives in monologue, not dialogue. Her formula is simple: accuse, dramatize, moralize. A cocktail that works perfectly when you control the conversation. But when someone like Marr or Kelly calmly punctures that carefully inflated balloon, the deflation is both immediate and irreversible. Bill Marr, seasoned and unbothered, approached Sunny's well-worn routine with the detached amusement of a professor grading yet another freshman essay titled "Why I'm Always Right." He didn't need to interrupt or raise his voice. Her arguments began unraveling under their own contradictory weight. Whippy attacks me on a regular basis. She says stupid shit on a regular basis, Marr explained later, referring to how frequently The View hosts target him. They just happen to coincide. With every sanctimonious breath, Sunny dug herself deeper into a rhetorical hole lined with buzzwords, over-rehearsed outrage, and the unmistakable stench of self-congratulation. The audience could feel her neurons short-circuiting in real time whenever Marr brought up something rooted in data rather than emotion. What's especially jarring about Sunny's approach is her ability to turn literally any topic, weather, TikTok trends, even puppy rescues, into a discourse about racial injustice. It's like watching a human version of Twitter. Loud, performative, and deeply committed to misunderstanding everything on purpose. Then came Megyn Kelly, poised, razor sharp, and almost surgical in her dismantling of the spectacle. She didn't raise her voice or lean on theatrics. Instead, she methodically peeled away the veneer of Sunny's faux gravitas, layer by layer, exposing what remained underneath, a hollow echo chamber of recycled indignation. Kelly's presence alone seems to trigger Sunny like a fire alarm during nap time. It's almost impressive how consistently Sunny's voice jumps an octave the moment Kelly's name enters the conversation. Perhaps because Kelly possesses this rare and apparently scandalous superpower, the ability to use facts in coherent sentences. On The View, that's treated like dangerous sorcery. If you cite data or walk through a logical timeline without a dramatic hair flip or existential meltdown, you're clearly a danger to their ecosystem. I want you to note the tone they all talk with, Kelly observed. I want you to look at Sunny Hostin's body language and the way they look at him and everything else. While Sunny clutches her pearls over yet another imaginary political apocalypse, this week's version, brought to you by Vague Vibes and MSNBC Talking Points, Kelly calmly clears the air with facts. She cites sources, uses statistics, and speaks without shrieking. It's a horrifying display of composure and literacy, the two things most feared on The View panel. The moment that truly encapsulated the disconnect came when Sunny's historical comparisons spiraled beyond all reasonable boundaries. In discussing January 6, she made a statement that left even her supporters wincing. January 6 was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II, things that happened, like the Holocaust, child slavery. Yes, she actually compared January 6th to the Holocaust and slavery, a moment of hyperbole so extreme it bordered on historical desiccation. Kelly and Marr didn't even need to counter this point directly. The absurdity spoke for itself. This wasn't just a misstep, it was a full ideological faceplant that exposed a staggering lack of perspective. When your entire persona is built atop the fragile scaffolding of moral superiority, even the gentlest whisper of dissent sounds like a seismic tremor. And this time, that fragile house of cards didn't just wobble, it disintegrated in spectacular, cringe-inducing fashion. Sunny's war on comedy represents another fascinating dimension of this confrontation. For someone who allegedly understands law and society, she seems weirdly allergic to jokes. To her, sarcasm is hate speech, and satire is emotional assault. It's 2025, and somehow this woman still hasn't grasped the concept that comedians, by definition, make fun of everyone. That's literally their job. Expecting Bill Maher not to poke fun at public figures is like walking into a bakery and getting outraged that they're selling bread. And yet, every single time Marr so much as inhales, Sunny reacts like someone just stood on a table and read her middle school diary aloud, complete with doodles and that one failed poem about justice. She clutches her pearls and gasps, "How dare he?" as if personal offense is now a valid counterpoint in a comedy monologue. "I don't want to defend Donald Trump ever," Marr explained in one exchange, "but I would never say that we should put the swastika on the MAGA cap because I think you can hate Donald Trump. You can't hate everybody who likes him. It's half the country. I don't want to live in that country." This moment of nuance, the simple suggestion that political opponents shouldn't be labeled Nazis, seemed to short-circuit Sunny's entire worldview. The true pièce de résistance was Sunny's painfully awkward attempt to out-intellectual Marr and Kelly in real time. She started flinging historical references with all the precision of a toddler hurling spaghetti at a wall. Messy, desperate, and with no clue where anything would stick. Who lobbed half-baked legal jargon like grenades with no pins, hoping to sound profound, but ending up sounding like someone who discovered Wikipedia that morning. If this were an actual courtroom, the stenographer would simply write incoherent babble and threaten to unionize out of protest. Bill Maher, cool as a cucumber in a cryogenic freezer, just sat there letting Sunny's tirades ricochet off him like Nerf darts on a concrete wall. This isn't his first rodeo. He's been wading through ideological minefields since dial-up internet was a thing. You could practically see the decades of media experience roll their eyes every time Sunny tried to nail him to a metaphorical cross of righteous indignation. And this confrontation laid bare a larger issue with The View as a platform. As Megyn Kelly pointed out, the show has had to issue multiple corrections and retractions recently, a trend that suggests deeper problems with fact-checking and journalistic standards. Not Hot Mess, that they air in the mornings, called The View, had to issue not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 corrections. Legal corrections, Kelly explained. Not to mention what they did at that debate where, once again, they tried to fact-check only one side. And then when their fact-checks got fact-checked, they cowered in fear. This is a pattern with them. What makes this particularly ironic is that The View bills itself as a serious platform for political discourse while simultaneously abandoning even the most basic standards of journalistic integrity. It's like watching someone claim to be a master chef while burning microwave popcorn. The internet, predictably, exploded. Clips of the exchange racked up millions of views within hours. Comment sections filled with variations of, "Finally someone said it," and "Watch Sunny get absolutely destroyed." The confrontation became a Rorschach test for America's political divide, with liberals lamenting Sunny's treatment and conservatives celebrating what they saw as long overdue accountability. But beyond the partisan reactions, something more profound was happening. Viewers from across the political spectrum found themselves questioning the intellectual foundations of daytime political talk shows. When someone's entire argument collapses under the slightest scrutiny, it raises uncomfortable questions about how much of our media diet consists of unchallenged assertions rather than tested ideas. There's a reason people often mute their TVs when Sunny talks. It's not necessarily because they disagree, it's because they'd rather listen to a dentist drill than hear another 10-minute lecture on why laughter is oppression and disagreement is violence. And what happened to Sunny Hostin wasn't just a bad TV moment. It was the inevitable result of living too long in a hermetically sealed echo chamber, where challenging questions are treated as acts of aggression. Sooner or later, reality intrudes. And when it does, no amount of moral outrage or credentialed posturing can save you from the consequences of intellectual complacency. In the end, no matter how loudly she yelled, no matter how passionately she clutched her pearls, and no matter how many times she reminded everyone she was a former prosecutor, nothing could change the fact that Sunny Hostin walked into an intellectual ambush of her own making. And the ashes of that confrontation spell one word: overexposed. What do you think? Was this showdown long overdue, or was Sunny treated unfairly? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more unfiltered analysis of the media moments everyone's talking about.